Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Okay, so today we're heading over to Ghana.
Interesting. What's going on in Ghana?
Well, there's this presidential candidate, Richmond Bash,
Okay.
and we found this radio interview. He's talking with a couple of young Ghanaians.
Oh, cool.
One's a tech entrepreneur, Kwesi, and then there's Ama. She's really into modernizing agriculture.
Sounds like a lively discussion.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
So what's the angle? What are we looking at here?
I think what's really cool about this interview is we get to hear from young people in Ghana
Yeah.
about what they want the future of their country to be.
And how this guy, Bash, figures into it.
Exactly.
This-
So Bash is calling his campaign the RBG campaign.
What's that stand for?
Red, black, and green.
Ah, like the Pan-African flag.
Yes.
Emphasizing unity.
And strength.
Growth.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really interesting choice.
Definitely makes a statement.
It suggests that he's looking beyond just Ghana's future.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, he's tying it into this broader Pan-African context.
So it's about Ghana's role in the whole continent.
Yeah, I think so. It's like he's tapping into this shared identity and this shared purpose that extends beyond national borders.
So it's about, like, solidarity with other African nations.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me about his actual plan, the RBG strategy.
Okay, so he lays out three main pillars:
All right, let's hear him.
education, entrepreneurship, and inclusivity.
Pretty standard campaign promises.
Yeah, they sound pretty familiar on the surface.
Yeah.
The interesting part is how he's actually going to implement them.
So it's all in the details.
Exactly. Like, for example, with education.
Okay.
He's not just talking about, building more schools or giving teachers better pay.
Yeah.
He wants to partner with tech companies, these leading tech companies,
Right.
to create coding academies.
Coding academies.
Yeah, and he wants to put them in rural areas.
Wow, that's ambitious.
It is.
So he's recognizing the importance of tech skills,
Absolutely, preparing them for the future.
like the global digital economy.
Exactly.
And this ties into Kwesi's story, right?
It does.
Kwesi was talking about how hard it is to get funding for his tech startup,
Yeah, and to find mentors.
especially outside the big cities.
Right.
So what's Bash's solution for that?
He's proposing this National Youth Innovation Fund.
Okay. And how's that different from other government funds?
So it's not just a big pot of money that's controlled by the central government.
Okay.
He wants to create a network of regional hubs.
Regional hubs, like mini innovation centers.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And each one would have its own investment committee.
Made up of?
People from the community, local business leaders.
Oh, I see. So they're in touch with the needs of their specific region.
Exactly.
So it's a lot more localized and responsive.
Right, cutting through the red tape.
And that brings us to the inclusivity aspect, right?
It does.
Making sure that young entrepreneurs, like Kwesi,
Yeah,
have an equal shot at success.
even if they're not in the capital city.
Exactly. So we've got education that's geared towards future skills
Mm-hmm.
and a funding system that's designed to reach everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this RBG Mentorship Network? What is that?
Well, it's another way Bash is trying to take things a step further.
How so?
He's not just creating a list of mentors.
Okay.
He's talking about this big Pan-African network.
Whoa, hold on. How would that even work?
He's thinking we can use technology.
Right.
So young Ghanaians could connect with leaders from all across Africa.
Oh, wow.
Imagine Kwesi video chatting with, like, a tech CEO from Nigeria
Yeah.
or a venture capitalist from South Africa.
That's amazing.
It is.
So it's like a whole continent of mentors.
Exactly. It's tapping into this vast network of experience and expertise.
And again, it ties back to that Pan-African spirit of the campaign.
Absolutely. Ghana's success is intertwined with the success of the entire continent.
So we've got education, funding, mentorship.
All very promising.
But we haven't talked about Ama's concerns yet.
Right.
You know, she's all about agriculture, but she feels like the sector is stuck in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So how does Bash plan to address that?
Well, he's got this agricultural empowerment program.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the plan?
He wants to make farming cool again.
That's a tall order.
It is, but he's got some ideas.
Like what?
So first off, he's proposing subsidies and tax breaks for young farmers.
Okay, so making it easier to get started financially.
Exactly.
What else?
He wants to invest in technology, like agricultural technology.
Drones, sensors, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and training programs too.
So it's about equipping them with the tools and the knowledge they need.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And then the third part of his plan is a national agricultural marketing board.
A marketing board. What's the purpose of that?
Well, It's designed to help farmers get better prices for their products.
Ah, so connecting them with better markets.
Right. And maybe even promoting Ghanaian products internationally.
So thinking big picture.
Yeah, aiming for both self-sufficiency and global competitiveness.
Ambitious.
It is.
But, it all sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
But how can we be sure that these programs will actually reach the people they're intended to help?
That's a good point. It's one thing to make promises, but how do you actually implement them effectively?
Exactly.
And it seems Bash is aware of that challenge.
Yeah.
He's really emphasizing transparency and accountability.
Okay, but those are just words. How does he plan to actually make those a reality?
He's proposing to create this digital platform.
It's a digital platform.
Yeah, to track all the youth initiatives.
Interesting. So like a website or an app where anyone can see what's happening.
Exactly. You can see how the funding's being used.
Those benefits.
What the outcomes are.
Wow. So it's about making everything visible and accessible.
Exactly.
And allowing for greater citizen participation.
Yeah, people could give feedback, report problems.
Even suggest new ideas.
It's about creating a two-way conversation between the government and the citizens.
I like that. So it's not just about transparency, it's about empowering people.
Using technology to hold the government accountable.
That's really interesting. So it seems Bash is really trying to shake things up.
Yeah, he's painting a picture of a very different kind of leadership.
But we can't ignore the elephant in the room, right?
What's that?
His age. He's a young candidate.
Ah, yes, the classic youth versus experience debate.
It's a valid concern for some voters. Governing a country is no small feat.
Definitely. So how does he address that?
Well, that's a question for part 2.
I mean, people are going to wonder, does he have what it takes?
Right, experience matters. So how does he answer those critics?
Well, instead of trying to hide his age, he actually embraces it.
Interesting.
He presents himself as this bridge between generations.
Okay.
He gets young people, but he also respects the experience of older generations.
So he's not throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. He's trying to bring everyone together.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah, it is.
But actions speak louder than words, right?
Definitely.
Voters want proof.
They want to see results.
So how does he show that he's ready to lead?
Well, he points to his track record as an entrepreneur.
Oh, good.
He built a successful tech company before getting into politics.
Interesting.
Created jobs, contributed to the economy.
So he's using his business experience as evidence of his leadership skills.
Exactly. He knows how to build something from the ground up.
Take risks.
Manage people.
Get things done.
It's not just talk.
Right.
He's got the experience to back it up.
Okay, but running a company is different from running a country.
It is. It is. But he's not just relying on that one piece of his resume.
Okay, what else?
He's also been really involved in community development projects.
Oh, interesting.
For years, actually.
What kind of projects?
Education, entrepreneurship, women's empowerment, things like that.
So he's been working on these issues at the grassroots level.
Exactly. It's not just something he's talking about now that he's running for office.
Right, so it's not just a campaign tactic.
It shows that he genuinely cares about these things.
And that's important to voters.
It is.
Especially young voters. They can see that he's actually walking the walk.
That he understands their struggles.
Yeah, they're tired of empty promises.
They want someone who's actually going to make a difference in their lives.
Okay, so he's got the entrepreneurial background, the community involvement.
Yeah.
He's connecting with young people.
Right.
But governing is complex, right? It takes a lot of experience.
It does. There's no doubt about that.
How does he address that concern?
He admits that he doesn't have all the answers.
Oh, that's refreshing.
He's not afraid to say, I need help.
Okay.
He's surrounding himself with a team of advisors.
Experienced people.
Yeah, people who've been in government before, economists, policy experts.
But he's building a strong support system.
He's recognizing that he doesn't have to do it all alone.
Right. He can learn from others.
Yeah.
And that shows a lot of maturity, I think. Voters want to see that.
Definitely. He's also emphasizing collaboration.
Working with others.
Bringing people together.
Building consensus.
Yeah, he understands that governing a diverse country like Ghana requires compromise.
It's about listening to different voices.
Finding common ground.
Working towards shared goals.
It's a refreshing approach, I think.
It is.
People are tired of the fighting.
The division.
They want a leader who's going to bring them together.
So he's turning what some might see as a weakness, his youth, into a strength.
He's bringing fresh ideas, new energy, and a willingness to listen and learn.
And he's not afraid to surround himself with people who have more experience.
Exactly. It's a smart strategy.
It is.
And you know what else is interesting about his campaign?
What's that?
It's not just about policy and economics.
Okay.
There's this whole cultural dimension to it as
Well,
well.
that's right. We talked about that earlier.
His vision for a new Ghana.
So it's about more than just policies and programs.
It's about identity, about national pride.
About Ghana's place in the world.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. I want to hear more about that.
Well, that's a perfect topic for part 3.
All right, let's dig into this cultural dimension a bit. What exactly is Bash's vision for a new Ghana?
So he's talking about a cultural renaissance.
Okay, what does that look like?
Well, he wants to invest heavily in the arts,
Arts?
like creating these cultural centers all over the country, giving grants to artists and musicians.
Okay.
He even wants to establish a film fund.
Wow, to support Ghanaian filmmakers.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And he's talking about building a new museum
A museum, what kind?
dedicated to Ghanaian art and history.
So it's about preserving their heritage.
It is, but it's also about supporting contemporary art.
So it's not just looking backwards?
No, it's about the future, too.
Nurturing new talent.
Exactly. And he also wants to revitalize traditional crafts.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Weaving, pottery, things like that.
Yeah.
He sees them as not just part of their culture, but also a potential source of income.
Yeah, connecting it to the economy.
Exactly. Creating opportunities, especially in rural communities.
So it's about both cultural preservation and economic empowerment.
It is. It's a really interesting approach.
It is. And, he's also a big sports fan.
Oh, yeah. He talks about that a lot.
He sees it as a unifying force.
Brings people together.
Inspires national pride.
He's talking about investing in sports infrastructure,
Okay.
supporting young athletes, even bidding to host the African Cup of Nations.
Wow, that would be huge.
It would.
So how does all of this connect back to his RBG vision?
Right, that Pan-African focus.
Yeah.
I think he sees this cultural revival as part of a larger Pan-African awakening.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about Ghana embracing its own identity, celebrating its culture, and then inspiring other African nations to do the same.
So it's about leading by example.
Yeah, showing what's possible.
Working together to build a better future for the whole continent.
Exactly. It's a powerful message.
It is. I'm really struck by Bash's optimism.
Yeah, it's contagious.
It's not just about fixing problems, it's about creating something new.
He's giving people hope.
A vision for the future.
Especially young people.
And that's resonating with them.
It is. They're excited about what he's saying.
They see him as someone who understands them.
Who shares their dreams.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about Bash's RBG campaign.
His plans for education, entrepreneurship, agriculture.
And this really interesting cultural dimension.
His vision for a new Ghana.
Yeah, it's definitely a campaign to watch.
It is. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. If you were a young Ghanaian inspired by Bash's vision, what role would you play in shaping this new chapter for your country, for Africa? What talents, what skills, what passions would you bring to the table? Thanks for joining us.